So, crypto markets are trading sideways right now. We've been having some key news events that have been affecting the volatility in the market, approaching the 9th and the 10th whenever we're going to be having the FOMC meeting and the Fed rate cut decision. Right now, there's a lot of anticipation on a macro lens on what's going to be happening moving into the FOMC meeting, potentially a pump and then a massive dump as we get to there. There is also macro perspectives on where we're headed for Bitcoin, with the heat map showing liquidations at that 90K region and then getting back upwards in the bullish momentum upwards of 93 to 95, 96,000. So with all that being said, I want to walk you through the current price action that is taking place, the different perspectives and what everyone is saying and what you should be doing. This is going to be a quick, concise video letting you know how to anticipate moving into tomorrow and next week. So with all that being said, let's go and jump straight into it. So as I said, markets are trading sideways, seeing some green in the markets, but overall anticipating that potentially we could be seeing a little bit of downward price action. Today, we did see a lot of sell-offs in terms of, where the market was headed, but right now we are still clinging to that support sitting at around 92,000. And this is where everyone's wondering what's going to be happening next for Bitcoin. Ethereum is also trading sideways, seeing a little bit of a pump up after a massive sell-off today. And this is where everyone is looking into altcoins and how it's having an effect on exactly where liquidity is shifting. Now, until Ethereum can reclaim specific areas where, we previously were in the year, we're not going to be running up for altcoins. And until the total three actual market cap starts to increase, we're not going to be seeing a move in the market for altcoins either. So Bitcoin dominance is a big indicator letting us know how altcoins are getting squeezed out for liquidity, not only from, of course, Bitcoin, but stables as well. So with Bitcoin dominance starting to crash down, this is why a lot of people are getting bullish, calling for altcoin season already. Now, in the week, we have consecutive news events that have an effect on volatility. And the biggest thing that everyone is anticipating is the FOMC meeting that is going to be determining rate cuts, which is happening on December 9th and 10th. It's a two-day meeting with the policy statement and rate announcement released at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on December 10th. Chair Jerome Powell press conference follows immediately after at 2:30 p.m. EST. So this is the biggest thing that everyone is anticipating. This is where I try to give you a perspective on exactly what is happening with the price action with Bitcoin and what is probably going to be happening moving into next week whenever we see the rate cut decision. So Ted gave us a perspective and he says he thinks this is a highly likely chance we're going to be seeing this, just pretty much based off of previous history with FOMC meetings and the price action around Bitcoin. So he says, don't get caught by FOMO, late entries will get wrecked. And this is the post that he was sharing. He says, in the past two FOMC meetings, Bitcoin pumped before rate cuts and dumped after that. This is a classic buy the rumor, sell the news event. Now, will something similar happen again? So this is where he's telling everyone right now to position yourself correctly. Could we be seeing a little bit of a downward price action, a last rip up, and then start to crash down? Yes, potentially. And this is where we try to base it off of history, what we have seen multiple times already. So this is something that I'm really focusing on moving into next week. I know everyone wants altcoins to explode and altcoin season to start already. Price action just isn't making sense right now in terms of where Bitcoin and Ethereum are headed. So until we start to see these assets see a little bit of recovery, or even Bitcoin dominance start to crash down significantly, moving all that liquidity, then we aren't going to be talking about altcoins just yet. You should be really positioning yourself based off of what's going to be happening with Bitcoin. Now, KillaXBT gives us the perspective around the heat map. It pretty much gives us a little bit of an understanding. Damn this thing. It gives us pretty much a basic understanding on where liquidity is shifting and where we could be headed. The heat map is super, super important because it shows where short liquidations are sitting, as well as where potentially we could be reclaiming with, two specific pools. So jumping straight into it, Bitcoin, we're currently positioned between two liquidity pools, upwards of 94 to 96,000, and then as well as below that 92,000 mark, hitting 90,000 where liquidations can occur. So 90K liquidations and the 94 to 96K liquidations. Reclaiming 93K, especially the yearly open, would confirm upside intent and likely drive the next leg up. But in my honest opinion, I believe we're going to be touching 90,000. Currently, we're sitting at 92,000. I believe we're going to be hitting 90,000, and then from there, we're going to be seeing a jump up to that 94,000 95,000, 96,000 region moving into next week, potentially having that rally and then dumping significantly right before the FOMC meeting. Could we be potentially wrong and we see a pump? Yes, that could potentially happen. But right now where liquidity is shifting, it really is letting me know that more than likely we're going to be seeing more sell-offs, just a little bit more, then potentially ripping back up, reclaiming that 93K region, causing everyone to get super bullish. And then from there, moving into next week is really going to determine based off of how data points and everything is coming out and how we close out this week for the stock market, what's going to be happening. So this is super, super important information, and I was able to provide it to you in less than 10 minutes. This is super important data and information, but most people get caught up in all the other different things, banana zone, swings, this, dead cat bounce, all this random stuff. It does not matter. What matters is where liquidity is at, where price action is moving, the current fluctuations in economic events. Like, this is pretty straightforward, y'all. So I don't want to run your ear off anymore than looking at the heat map and also basing perspectives off of exactly what happened in previous FOMC meetings in terms of the price action around Bitcoin. Dr. Profit is one of the individuals that has been super, super bullish on the market, and he says that he is actually watching the charts more carefully as the area of 70,000 is just a matter of time only. Remember the two liquidity clusters at 100K and 170K regions are interesting zones to add more shorts if market allows to visit. Overall, markets remain extremely bullish. So he's even anticipating that we could be seeing, somewhat of a little pump potentially, but he is honestly already waiting for 70K Bitcoin, a deviation that is going to be causing a lot of people to lose a lot of money. And I'm all in for it, guys. I'm having an altcoin portfolio. I'm going to keep y'all updated on this. And whenever that 70,000 Bitcoin comes in, I'm going to just lead you back to this video and say, I told you so. Now, at the end of it all, markets are trading sideways. We're still seeing green in the market, but based off of the heat map, we more than likely are going to be seeing a little bit of deviations before we start to reclaim that 93K region. Now, right now, Bitcoin is practically sitting almost at 93K, but I believe that we're going to be seeing a little bit of a sell-off before an actual pump up. Now, the hourly is showing an imbalance, but we did already touch that earlier today. So this is where I'm really just looking at a macro lens around Bitcoin to see how liquidity is shifting towards the end of the day and the end of the week moving into tomorrow. But that is currently what's happening in the markets. Key news events that are consistently having an effect on the price action around the markets. We're anticipating that potentially we could be seeing a pump and then a dump moving into FOMC week next week. There is also talks about the heat map and what's going to be happening. Are we going to be deviating to 90,000 or potentially reclaiming that 93K zone and seeing some bullish momentum? Nobody truly knows, and I've said this multiple different times, and that's why on a week-to-week basis, on a day-to-day basis, I try to keep you updated with exactly what is happening. Not all the filler and fluff and everything else that everyone talks about, just the basic price action, liquidity, key news events, and nothing else. So if you're new to my channel, please go check out the rest of my content. I try to keep you updated on the day-to-day events, price action around Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, and I try to do it completely different than everyone else and just get you ready on a week-to-week basis so that whenever those few weeks are coming up, whenever altcoin season is potentially happening and we're moving around liquidity and taking profits and doing all that stuff, we are freaking prepared, not individuals that are just keeping up with this stuff on a, 3-week basis or a monthly basis, slowly just checking in, and they're going to get wrecked by not keeping up with everything. So focus on what is really, important, the key news events, the data, liquidity, and then the price action. That's all you need to know. And on the channel, that's what I do. So make sure you guys drop me a comment, like, subscribe, stay tuned. In tomorrow's episode, I'm gonna let you know how we're closing out the week and what to anticipate, and pretty much based off of the predictions I gave you today. So with all that being said, stay tuned, and hopefully I catch you guys tomorrow. Do not capitulate your bags. Peace.